I now go to the questions that perhaps you have asked us, you have asked me. There are three questions that I've been asked. Number one is, when Mass attendance is required, what if you are traveling? Is it a sin that when you are traveling, surely you can't attend Mass? The Church is not so harsh. We understand perhaps when you are traveling, when you are sick, when you are indisposed, you cannot keep up the Sunday obligation. But you can make up for this Sunday obligation in some other way. You are not purposely missing it. It is inevitable that you are on a particular work or mission or travel because of which you miss. So therefore, you make up in some way this particular absence for Mass. Perhaps you can have the readings of the Bible of that day, spend some time in prayer, do a good work in order to make up for this non-attendance of yours at the Mass, which for others in normal circumstances is obligatory. Secondly, the second question that has been asked to me is it important for a priest to wear clerical attire at all times? I'm wearing this cassock, white cassock. We see our priests, and there are some perhaps who are seen without the cassock. So what is it? I would say the habit does not make a monk. The habit is important. But the habit is not, I would say, important or most important if we are given the impression, we give the impression that we do this work, but the habit is an outward sign of our inward disposition of ours. What I am trying to say is, when a priest is perhaps all by himself, when a priest is known to everybody, I know that this is a priest, and whether he puts his cassock or not. So in such circumstances, when cassock or perhaps the dress, the attire is not needed, it may not be. But for official functions, when he is celebrating the Mass, perhaps when he is celebrating a particular function or program, when he is representing the community, when perhaps something is required of him for which his leadership is being asked for, in these moments, it surely behooves the priest to wear the attire as also the other religious. But I said it is not that for all times that we have to wear the cassock. We have come a long way to say that perhaps cassock is important, but some sign and symbol that you are a priest, that you are a religious, perhaps could also make up in certain circumstances where you are known, where it may not be so important for you. Nowadays in the times of anti-Christian or anti-conversion type of this one, for some people perhaps it is also an irritation to see a religious symbol, a religious attire that to be done. If work can be done in a better way without it, in a common, secular or perhaps neutral platform, perhaps we can still go ahead. The last question that is being asked here is how does one properly dispose of old and torn vestments or priestly, perhaps attire, anything that is connected with the liturgy, with the church, etc. For example, a vestment is torn. A vestment is perhaps very, very old, unless it has got an antique value for which we have to preserve it in certain places. The other things of the church, the things of the altar, the cloth of the altar, etc., since they are being used for holy circumstances, we just don't throw them in the basket or perhaps in the waste paper, etc., but we burn them so that they are not desecrated, or rather they are not used for purposes, they are not considered as waste or things that have no value, etc. That is why we burn them. So the old vestments, the old cloth, the purificators, perhaps the altar cloth, and these materials that are used in the church, used on the altar, are not to be discarded but could be burnt or put off in a particular place respectfully, so that they are not used for purposes which are not liturgical or not even considered as holy. So that is why we try to keep up this particular type of way of disposing in order to satisfy ourselves that we have given the proper regard to these things.